want to help people break the stigma, break the cycle, break the patterns, live their best life, no matter what the hell you've been through, no matter what you're experiencing, no matter who you are, no matter how bad it's been, no matter how bad it is, you have the ability to overcome anything simply by training your mind.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
They're not sent to you by their department.
Some of them have been. Some of their jobs are on the line if they don't get help.
When you're sent there by your department, now you think, she's just a rat for the department, and they're not going to open up. But if they go there willingly, they're going to open up to you.
There are certain therapists in this world who their scruples are in question. Mike and I have, there's one guy in particular, and I don't even have to tell Mike who it is. He'll know his name. We'll never say it on air because he'll probably sue us.
Okay, don't.
I damn near threw him out the window. I know Mike damn near threw him out the window because he said some very offensive things and he had no idea what he was doing, nor did you can tell when somebody cares.
Because we were sent to him by our department. Correct. It wasn't until we met, like you said, Dr. Stefanelli, who we went there willingly.
Yeah.
And that's when things started getting better for me.
But that's good though, to have somebody in another state. And I'd love to have this group of individuals such as yourself in every state to say, hey, you know what? I can't help you, but talk to this person. It's a person we trust. It's a person who knows first responders because, and just getting back to Toyota of Hackensack, one of the reasons that I feel comfortable recommending Toyota Hackensack is because I use them, I trust them, and that's how the first responder and military world deals with things like, hey, I got a guy, I got a girl, I got a person for you to go see, because it's all about trust. Because if you get first responders, number one, you're always going to be busy, always, but they're going to feel, okay, well, I'm going off the recommendation of Mike here and go see Professor T. She'll take care of you and she'll understand.
Absolutely. And let me give you this one story. In our area, there's this place called Death Alley, and it's where the train comes. And a lot of people have ended their life by standing in front of that train. And this was just recently, maybe a year ago. Couple of new first responders got the call. And when they got on scene, the person who decided to end their life, I don't have to tell you, stuff was everywhere. Oh, yeah. Okay.
They explode when they get hit by trains.
The kid was 18. He just became, just like a junior EMT, right? And his superior told him to stay back. He wanted to see. So he did. Traumatized. There was 4 of them. And I saw each of them separately. And then I said, well, why don't you guys come back? You can all sit in my office. We'll just talk. It's not therapy. We're just talking. Because I wanted to normalize the feeling and I wanted them to bring people they were comfortable with. And so we were talking and here's what we did. I said, do you have pictures? And they said, yeah, we do. And I said, well, let me see them. And they said, you don't want to see them. I said, yeah, let me see them. And I looked, heartbreaking because I'm feeling what they're feeling. Now let me see these pictures because I want to see what they saw. Now I'm not saying that what I saw is equal to what they were experiencing. But I want them to know, like, let's talk about it. And what's that? That's a foot. Oh, wow. How'd you feel when you saw that? What's that? Believe it or not, it's an eyeball. It was for these, and they're kids. I'm telling you, the one was 18, one was 22. They were just in that cusp. And the one thing they said was the smell.
The smell of a dead body is, there's truth to that.
Guts and the brains.
And blood.
And blood. Yes. So here's what I did. I got some candles that I keep on my desk. And I said, smell this. What's it smell like? What's it smell like?
Blood flavored.
No. But smell is an extremely powerful sense that we have. Smell.
Yes.
And so what I helped them to do was, on your way home, go get some peppermint, go get something, go to the store and buy some candles. And whenever you start getting anxious or you start going back into that moment, grab a candle or grab the mint and just smell it for a few minutes. Something as simple as that can help.
That is great advice. Yeah. Because one of my cousins, his name's Freddie, I won't give his last name out of respect for him, but he was one of the Navy divers at the USS Cole when it was bombed in Yemen. And it really jacked him up because he had to, when the bomb went off, one of the sailors who was there got fused to the hull It exploded with such force that it fused them to the metal. So in order to retrieve the body, they had the acetylene torch out that piece of the hull. And to this day, he tells me, because I see him all the time, he tells me he can still smell the burning flesh.
Yes.
And that's what gets him, and that's what keeps him up at night. I'm going to pass that on to Freddie. I'm going to really pass that on. And he's down. He's actually down closer to you.
Oh, good.
Maybe even
Please
send him.
do.
Maybe even send him to you.
Send him my way. You know, guys, I've had the pleasure of working with so many first responders over the years, and this is one thing I tell them: you're never going to unsee what you saw. You will never unsmell what you smelled. You'll never unfeel what you felt. One case, a veteran chief of police, sergeant, he still to this day has nightmares because the incident of going on a call and a lady coming out with a baby. The baby died in his arms.
Baby not breathing.
Baby in a diaper. Okay, this is a big, strong, single guy, right? He could break people in half like a pencil.
Is this the same guy that we know mutually?
No,
Okay.
it's not. The point is this. I worked with him for quite a while. And although you don't unsee, you don't unsmell, you don't unfeel, you don't unknow that, you can get through it with proper help, right? But
Guidance.
to this day, it still bugs them. It's still, and that's what I think the one thing for first responders, that's the one thing, hands down, they all tell me. It's when it's a kid, a baby, a child, I think about my own children.
Mm-hmm.
I think about my own wife. I think about my own kids.
We say it all the time. You put your own kid's face on that child.
Yes.
So how does this fit into the grid system?
So the grid system, it fits into the fact that there's part of that. So many times I've had people come to me and say, look, my partner, my spouse said, you're either getting help or you're getting out. You're getting help or you're getting divorced, So I've had to work with people with their mindset. Okay. And one of the things about mindset, again, with the label, we don't have to label stuff. We all go through stuff. It's how you look at it. Things don't mean things.
So I shouldn't call him an asshole.
Again.
Should not.
Well, listen, that's your name for this episode.
No.
Since you broke my chop so bad.
Labeled me.
But this book
No
is
label.
This book is interesting because I've read portions of it. I haven't because I only got it on Monday. You take your own life experience in here, and I think that this is important. It's something I really want to touch on with this grid system. You take your own life experience and then you make it applicable to whatever life-changing attitude. And what that does for somebody like me, if you were to come here and not have any life experience with some of the trauma that you're dealing I would be less.
We'd say you're full of shit.
Yeah, I was trying to say. I was trying to dance around that, but that's essentially true.
FOS.
Yeah. You're full of it. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand, but you actually do understand, and you explain it quite good in here, quite articulately.
Yeah.
So this book is more of a love letter to how you overcame your trauma and how other people can apply it to their own lives,
as well as other people's stories that are in there. It's duplicatable. Whether you're a first responder or a parent or a professional athlete or $1 million company owner or a single mother or a single father or a college student, because the mindset is the mindset. Okay. We are all human. We all put our pants on the same way. Okay. We all were born, right? And so
he was hatched.
he was hatched.
The buzzard brought him.
Don't play into his game. Please.
That is funny. That's funny. That's another writer downer. But we're all humans. So no matter what sector you're in, your mindset is your mindset. And I'm going to give you an example. So first of all, I have so many examples, but I want to be careful. All right. First of all, if you feel that winter is horrible, I hate winter, it's cold, it's dark early, can't stand it. You're not wrong, but maybe you love winter. I love skiing. I love going sledding. I love the snow. I love cold weather. So neither one of you are wrong. It's your feeling.
It's your perspective.
It's okay. It's your perspective. Perspective is everything, no matter what sector you're in. I've worked with people who've lost children. I've never lost a child. I mean, my son's a cop. I'm every night praying to God that, he's going to be okay, right? You never know what to expect. I can't say that I understand the feeling, but I know that the mindset has the ability to overcome that. What are you going to do with it that matters? Okay, what are you going to do with what you're going through? And I find that people who succeed in life, in relationships, business, people who succeed are the ones who have what I call resilience. That mental muscle of resilience is what I teach. Resilience, the ability to overcome anything with a mental toughness. Does it mean you're not going to suffer? No, but it means you're going to get through it. Instead of allowing your obstacles to roll over you like a boulder, you allow the obstacles for you to stand on top of the boulder.
We talk about resilience all the time. That's the way to get through anything, though.
Mental muscle. I like that. I like that term, mental muscle.
It is a mental muscle, and you have to flex your muscle. How do you go to the gym and gain muscle? Right? You gotta work
Mike.
out.
Oh, you haven't done that yet.
But isn't it true that in order to get muscles, you have it's push and pull and tension, right? So if you're not suffering, if you're not going through anything, how are you going to gain resilience?
And again, be resilient in the gym.
So the
gym.
Push through all that pain and suffering and keep going.
The strongest people in the gym, the main principle to learn is time under tension.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, time under
like
tension.
that.
Time under tension, TUT. And the same goes for mental muscle, time under tension. So people who have lived their lives under tension have the ability, with proper help, to be the strongest mental people out there. Would you agree?
Yes, you can. And I have found that the people who are the most successful tapped into that resilience and said, nothing is going to stop me on my journey.
So where do we find this grid system book?
You can find it on my website. It's on Amazon.
What's your website?
Yeah.
GlenMillsCC.com.
Okay.
GlenMillsCC.com.
All right. And I know you're on Instagram,
I'm on Instagram,
Facebook. All right.
LinkedIn.
Why don't you give them out?
Okay. So on LinkedIn, I'm Professor Theresa Agostinelli. On Facebook, Agostinelli.
Yes.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, Professor Theresa Agostinelli. Facebook, Theresa Marie. And Instagram, TheresaMarie.coach.
Yes. Because I had a tough time finding you at first.
Yeah, a lot of people are having a tough time finding me because I have so many different layers and levels, and I've been evolving, so I've got to get that all under control.
How do you keep all those different names? Yeah. Listen, if I'm on I'm only on Instagram. But if I was on Facebook and had to use a different name, I'd never be able to find myself.
Well, I do find people who are like, Happy Strawberries 45789. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my friend Mary that, I know who lives down the street. So people have different handles, I call it. But yeah, the book is something that I'm very proud of. And here's why I'm so proud of it. And I don't know how much time we have, but this is what we're going to
be coming to the end soon. So,
okay.
But
so when my last remarks would be why the book is out when it is.
Okay, why don't you let us know?
So that book has been in the making for almost 20 years because I've been chronicling things that I've gone through and chronicling how I've been helping people and chronicling my personal professional development and education and research. And I found that, time goes by and then COVID hit. The book was just in the computer. And my parents were always asking me, where's the book? When's the book? When's the book going to be read? When's the book going to be read? And it's coming. My mother passed away on November 19th. My mother had dementia and Alzheimer's. And I was with my mother. I lived across the street from my parents. My two brothers passed away. My sister lives in northeastern Pennsylvania. And I was with my parents all the time. And my mother passed away. She passed away peacefully, but it was horrible. I lost my mother twice when she was diagnosed, and then she started forgetting who she was, who we were.
Terrible disease.
Horrifying. My mother would communicate with me through her eyes. I knew she knew who I was, and I knew that she was cheering for me. And she passed away. My father got COVID, so we canceled my mother's funeral. My father has COVID. He's in the hospital. He gets out of the hospital. My father goes back in the hospital, and on Christmas Day, 5 weeks later, I'm in the hospital. My father is dying, and the hospital's saying, your father's not going to live. The COVID has attacked his lungs. He had prior existing conditions. I left the hospital without my father. So both of my parents passed away within 5 weeks of each other. I was determined. That was the kick in the ass. It really was the kick in the ass. You know what? I lost my two parents, my two rocks. And no matter what my father may have been in the past, he made peace with that. He made peace with me. He made peace with us. And we were okay. And I realized that they never got to see this book. So I made some inquiries, and lo and behold, the book gets published. My publisher calls me on June 10th, says your book is live, your ebook is live. That was my dad's birthday.
Coincidence,
No.
serendipity.
No, it's not coincidence. There's
That's
a
a plan.
reason behind that.
That's a plan. We talk about
There's a
that.
reason behind that.
So now more than ever, I want to leave a legacy. My parents left a legacy. They were married 68 years. That's rare.
Yeah.
And I want to leave that legacy. And I want to help as many people as I can. And I want to help people break the stigma, break the cycle, break the patterns, live their best life, no matter what the hell you've been through, no matter what you're experiencing, no matter who you are, no matter how bad it's been, no matter how bad it is, you have the ability to overcome anything simply by training your mind to
You
overcome
can get
it.
through this.
Because you were created the highest form of creation. We are created as the highest form of creation. We are created to do and be and have everything we were created for by the great creator. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Normally, at the end of the show, I ask you what your sufferings taught you, but I think you just answered that whole question.
In a
There's no
nutshell.
reason to answer it.
But just getting back to that, though, I tell people all the time, no matter how bad today is, there's always tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yes.
It could be worse, right? No.
And you know what? I love that because I talk globally. I'm an international speaker. Okay. Thank you, COVID, because I ended up talking to people across the globe through being interviewed on podcasts and on Facebook and all kinds of things. Here's what I learned. I love this. I tell it to people all the time. Do you know what? Okay, what time is it now? Do you know it's tomorrow somewhere? So no matter how we feel right now, someone else is living tomorrow. Tomorrow came for them. Tomorrow will come for us.
The sun will also rise tomorrow.
Yeah. So always remember, it's tomorrow somewhere.
Right.
So you can get through it, no matter what you've been through, no matter who you've lost, what you've lost, how you've lost it. You can, you will, you must overcome.
You know, it's funny. You get that question all the time. How you doing? I tell people all the time, I woke up. I don't set the bar too high. I woke up. As long as I wake up, I know I could take on a day.
Yeah.
I'll worry about tomorrow when it gets
Yeah.
there.
When people ask you how you're doing, though, it's a rhetorical question. There's only two proper answers to that. It's either fine or great. And if you're not good, the answer is fine.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was at my worst, people would ask me that, and I would be like, do you really want to know?
Yeah.
Because if you really want to know, sit down. I'm going to tell you.
Right.
And then you're going to walk away. Okay. So don't ask me how I'm doing.
They'll
I'm
start
gonna-
looking. Oh, look at that. Look at the time.
I've seen that. I've seen that. And that's another thing with helping first responders. They just need to talk to somebody. Okay. They don't always want to tell their spouse or their partner or their chief.
Sometimes you can't.
They can't.
You don't understand.
And they don't need to take that home.
Yeah.
And that I have the shoulders for that. I have the broad shoulders to sit and help you make sense of what you're going through, get you back on the job until you're ready to make that decision. You don't have to make it now, but I help people get back on the job because they want to get back on the job. They want to do what they love to do.
Before we wrap this up, though, I just want to say Dr. T had some of the caffeine before.
Well, that's why the words are going so fast.
She had some caffeine, and she said, "I may
It was
order some."
great.
Of this
Yeah,
now."
I will order some.
It's much better than putting that garbage in your body.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And that's a really good point.
I appreciate you coming all
Thank
this
you
way.
for
Let him
having
sit
me.
down
I
and talk.
appreciate what you do. Coming from a first responder, I appreciate what you do. I wish there was more people like you in this world.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're welcome back anytime. So when your next book comes out, you have to make sure you come in here and we will hit the Grand Saloon. We'll maybe have a spa day
We'll
at
make a
X-Body.
day, yeah, we'll make a whole day out of it.
So don't forget, the book is The Grid System by Theresa Agostinelli.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
See how I got that
Yes.
right?
You're a quick learner.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the
Yes.
Suffering
Thank
Podcast.
you.
But before we go, let's think about all the stuff that we learned today. Therapize is a new word that I just learned today. Happiness is a choice. Face that suffering head on, but most importantly, you can get through this.
And grace with grit.
Grace with grit.
She said she was grace with grit.
Grace with
and
grit.
she is.
We're in presence of grace with grit.
Yes.
That's going to do it
Thank
for this
you.
episode of The Suffering Podcast,
Awesome
The
show,
Suffering
guys.
of a Therapist. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Follow Mike at Mike_Failace. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson. Don't forget to follow The Suffering Podcast at The Suffering Podcast. And we will see you on the next episode. And as my favorite Saturday Night Live news correspondent would do, Dennis Miller, that's going to wrap this episode.